From the land of lakes, this is Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes. I'm Wally Langfellow along with Eric Nelson, and we are here to slice and dice and cut up the Minnesota sports scene. And Eric joining us this week from, Los Angeles, California, home to Shohei Ohtani, a few of those World Cup soccer matches, and a long time ago, Eric Nelson. Okay, what was the vibe like in Los Angeles for the soccer, for the World Cup, while you spent some time out there this past week?
Yeah, I would say, Wally, it was incredible. I got into SoCal last Thursday right after they had a match at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, which is real close to LAX, where I flew into. And I've been to some major events out here in the Los Angeles area over the years, including the Super Bowl. And this region swallows up major events because, first of all, the footprint's so big and they're used to it. I mean, this is Hollywood. But the World Cup moved the needle here. I saw billboards, I saw banners, I saw signs on streetlights, and everywhere I looked, somebody had a soccer jersey on, and not just the U.S. A lot of folks wearing Mexico jerseys. Of course, that's just a couple hours south down I-5, and you're in Mexico. But all these nations, people were wearing their jerseys, and it was pretty cool to see. I think Southern California, which sometimes yawns at major events, was very much engaged into the World Cup. And part of that, of course, is they had a few games at SoFi.
Yeah. Well, and of course, we didn't get anything here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Kansas City was the closest. But we did see the U.S. go as far as the round of 16 before bowing out to Belgium eventually. Okay, I want to talk some baseball. We're going to get into it in depth with Joe Nathan coming up because the All-Star game is coming up next week. Joe Ryan will be there. Byron Buxton was voted there, but Byron Buxton, and I hate to do this, but again, is hurt. And it's the impingement in his hip. He's had this problem off and on for the last week or two. The Twins were on a decent run, but I don't know if this is going to be a great, successful run without Byron Buxton. They need him in the lineup every day, and I think it's very evident.
Absolutely, and the timing couldn't be worse for the Minnesota Twins with Cleveland, here this week in a key AL Central series. They're trying to chase the Guardians and the Chicago White Sox in the American League Central. LA Angels are here in the Twin Cities over the weekend, and then you have the All-Star break. So I'm guessing the Twins' thinking is, okay, we shut him down for a few days, then you have the All-Star break. The question is, will he go to Philadelphia? Will he be part of that American League roster? He wants to. This is the third time Byron Buxton has been named a member of the AL All-Star team. It's a huge honor. I think people wondered last year, should he be part of the Home Run Derby, which he did participate in, but that's a very taxing and exhausting event. We were all fearful that something bad might happen. Fortunately, it did not. Will Byron be in Philadelphia? You want him there, clearly. The Twins need him there just to give the organization some good optics along with Joe Ryan. But if there's any chance he's not 100%, you hope that he says, you know what, I'll tap out and get ready for the second half because the Twins are in it. They have a chance to maybe get in the wild card and, who knows, win the division. It's not a very great division. The AL Central is very mediocre.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's going to be coming off the injured list or will still be on it at the time of the All-Star game. So I don't see him going to Philadelphia at all, to be quite honest with you. And if it's at the end of his stay on the injured list, so be it. But I'd still say that's a bad idea to go to Philadelphia, the All-Star game. The flip side of that, of course, is that the Twins have been playing fairly well. Took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. They've won 2 or 3 series in a row coming into the Cleveland series. So as surprised as you may be about, them hanging in the race, and it's, the AL Central, as you mentioned, the fact that they are, within striking distance as they come into this coming weekend with the Angels, I think that that's significant. I think that people look around the league, look at it and say, wait a minute, I thought this was going to be a last place team that gave away everything at the trade deadline last year.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, the only hiccup they've had in the last couple of weeks was getting swept by the back-to-back champion Los Angeles Dodgers in Minneapolis. And remember, 2 of those losses were one-run defeats. The other one was a blowout. Now, look, there's no style points for losing a one-run game. It happens all the time in Major League Baseball. But they've had their share of success here recently. The Angels are the polar opposite of the Dodgers. I mean, throw out the welcome mat this weekend for the Los Angeles Angels, who are just a forest fire of an organization. You talk about being eclipsed by the Dodgers out here in the Los Angeles area. The Angels are a lot like the Mets, who are just dwarfed by the New York Giants, or I should say Yankees, in the the Big Apple. So the Angels will come in here, and it's a team the Twins should beat. That doesn't mean they will. One guy to keep an eye on is their manager, Kurt Suzuki, who, speaking of All-Stars, if you remember, he was an All-Star for the Twins in 2014 when the game was in Minneapolis. And if I remember right, Glenn Perkins got the save in that game.
He did.
And Suzuki was the catcher. So you had a Minnesota Twins battery 12 years ago in the Midsummer Classic.
At Target Field, no less, as you mentioned. All right. Well, as I mentioned, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to be joined by a former Twins All-Star. Joe Nathan is on deck here on Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes. We're back with that and more right after this timeout. Stay with us.
This is a great idea. You were right.
Yes, you heard correctly, Denise. The 3 most beautiful words in the English language. Print them out. Hang them on your fridge. Get one of those planes that spells out words in the sky. Let everyone see. You were right. This is your moment. Savor every second.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
With the heat of summer comes the fun of summer festivals across the state of Minnesota, and there's nothing better than Panaprog in Lakeville, running July 4th through the 12th. Lakeville has been celebrating Panaprog since 1967, and this year's festival has another great lineup of events, including the Classic Car Cruise Night in downtown Lakeville on Friday, July 10th. You'll also want to check out all the great live outdoor music and, of course, the Panaprog Carnival and Midway that's second to none. For more info on this year's events, go to panaprog.org. This message brought to you by Visit Lakeville. We are Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes, and as promised, we're going to be joined now by a 6-time Major League Baseball All-Star, and we're going to talk some All-Star game with Joe Nathan. He joins us from his home in Tennessee, correct? He's still living in Tennessee these days? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
yes, sir.
All right, Joe. 6 times going to the All-Star game. We know Byron probably won't play. He's on the injured list now. Just went on earlier this week. But is it a thrill every time you get that opportunity, or did it kind of wear off? Or where did you land on the All-Star game and getting selected?
Yeah, for me, it's an honor every single time. It never really changed. It never got old because each location kind of brought their own flavor, brought their own zing to it, and, made it interesting every time, made it exciting every time out there, made it fun for the family and friends that you bring out with you. And they get to kind of experience some of the really cool things that are a part of the game and be there with you. So that makes it all the more special. But it's a tough decision for Byron coming up, but more importantly, he's got to make himself healthy and as close to 100% with this final push for the Twins.
Yeah, Joe, when you talk about cities putting their own stamp on an All-Star game, this one seems extra special. Philadelphia, the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, America 250. you know next Tuesday night in Pennsylvania, it's going to be a star-spangled All-Star game, literally.
It's gonna. I mean, gosh, you couldn't script the thing any better. Being 250, the birthday of 250, and being there. I'm sure it was done on purpose. But I have a feeling this is going to be one of the more special ones. Really cool one to watch. From the home run derby right to the All-Star game, the red carpet show. I'm sure this is going to be a really, really cool event to view on television, and being there, I just couldn't imagine.
What's the vibe like in the locker room, in the clubhouse of an All-Star game? Are you guys signing each other's jerseys? Are the young guys in awe of the longtime vets that are there year after year? What's it like especially for you in particular, maybe your first All-Star game as opposed to your sixth?
Yeah, there's always a really cool guest that comes in. One for me that comes to mind was right away in Houston for me, and Muhammad Ali coming into the clubhouse, and
wow,
and you're just blown away. You're kind of in awe and jaws drop. But there's always a special guest that pops in. There's always a really cool speech, whether it be the final year of a player, like we had Mo do his speech, and Jeter, and I know George Brett was there for one of them to do the speech, and there's always just cool little things that come about. As far as us players, when we're there, yes, we do sometimes do some special things to get some things autographed, but there's a massive room there filled with memorabilia and baseballs and jerseys, and if you want to just throw one down, you can do that as well. But not every player tends to get to that room to sign. So if you really want everybody on it and be more personable, it was cool for me to kind of go up to each guy and ask them for their own individual autograph, and I have those in the house now. So it's definitely a special meeting.
And when you're young, Joe, I know you get picked to the All-Star game for a reason. You're good enough. But do you go in a little bit starstruck? I would think for anybody going to their first All-Star game next week, if you see Shohei Ohtani or some of these other supernovas, these stars, that you're probably stepping back and saying, wow, I'm on the same field with these guys. I'm in the same room. Do I belong?
Yeah, I remember the first one in 2004, and I remember going there, and I think I was kind of prepared for that. I was aware that I'm walking into a room filled with stars, and my first time doing it. But I think the thing that I always just kind of went back to is like, listen, I've done this with my teammates back in Minnesota, and every night we're going out and competing against these type of caliber players. So I think I had just the belief and confidence that you can go out and do it, but there is that little added pressure, because when you want it so bad, and you want to go out there and perform well when the lights come on, and it meant something too back then. We were playing for home field advantage too. So, you still had to kind of put that on the back burner and say, hey, we want to win this ball game. So, but yeah, I remember going in and being excited to be Mariano's teammate. And, I remember going to press day, and, we have all the media coming up, and I remember they asked Mo the question, who's kind of going to be the next him? And he pointed over to me, and then the reporters came to me and told me that, and that gave me goosebumps, and it actually allowed me to relax a little bit and go out there and kind of pitch with some confidence.
Wow, that's an honor in and of itself. Mariano Rivera thinks that you're going to be the next Mariano Rivera for sure. Okay, you you mentioned the meaningfulness of the game back then because you were playing for home field advantage. Before that, it was for pride, but boy, they played a la Pete Rose running over Ray Fosse back in the day. I mean, you wanted to win for your league. So now we have neither. It still seems it's competitive. I hate the home run derby to decide a winner. But what are your thoughts on how you think the players attack it now? Is it just an exhibition, get me in and get me out of here, or do you think that they still take this seriously?
No, I mean, knowing players' mindsets and knowing their competitive spirit, they're going into this game and they want to win. They, even though, there's nothing for it, they're going in thinking, we still need to win this game. I still remember Ichiro Suzuki every time, getting up and giving us a quick rah-rah speech, but with keeping it G-rated, not going into the R-rated, it was more about let's go out there and kick their butts. So they're going to have pride and they're going to want to go out and compete and still put on a good show. I don't think we ever want this All-Star game that in my opinion, is the best All-Star game there is, and compared to other sports. So I don't think they want that to go away.
Yeah, and Joe, what's it like when let's look at the Twins right now. They're in the AL Central. They're battling with the Chicago White Sox and Cleveland for the division. There's a lot of teams in that wild card chase, and suddenly some of these guys, your enemies on the diamond, are now your teammates in the dugout. Do you put the rivalries and the competitiveness aside for 1 or 2 days and you break bread together, or do you still kind of feel like it exists? Because as soon as this is over, you're going right back to the battles.
It's both. It's both. You definitely have that camaraderie and you enjoy each other's company, but at the same time, we're not giving away any trade secrets. We're not giving away, what makes us tick and what we do well and what is our weakness. We're not going to give anything like that away because, like you said, we know we're going to have to go to battle against these guys once this game is over, especially going down the home stretch. Shoot, they got a big series coming up right now, I believe, against the Guardians as well. So, they got nothing but big series starting right after this All-Star game weekend.
Okay, and to that end, last year we saw what they did at the trade deadline. They unloaded 10 players. I still have a bad feeling about Louis Varland in particular. But do you think that they should or will add a piece this year? Because they really are. I mean, unless they just completely fail between now and the end of July, they are going to be in the thick of this AL Central race.
Yeah, I think without being in that clubhouse and really kind of getting a sense and a feel for where they are physically, but also like mindset, their mental state right now. But just outside looking in, I would say they should add something, just because when you do something, it kind of gives them a spark. It's almost like, all right, the organization has a good feeling, and it gives them a little boost, a little energy boost to go into that, dog days this summer and get to that September month when you could bring in some additional youth, that energy, and really ride that wave to the last game of the season.
Joe, we appreciate it. Thanks for your insight on the All-Star game and certainly on the Twins, and we'll check back with you as the season rolls along.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure talking to you.
See you, Joe.
Thank you. He is Joe Nathan. He is a 6-time Major League Baseball All-Star, of course, longtime Minnesota Twin, all-time saves leader for the Twins. Back here with more on 10,000 Takes after this. Stay with us.
Get in the game at St. Croix Casinos in Turtle Lake, Danbury, and Hertel, Wisconsin, your local destination for sports betting. Check out our sportsbook at St. Croix Casinos. From football and soccer to hockey and UFC, you can join the non-stop action. You'll find plenty of options to bet on with our cutting-edge Play Sports kiosks, whether placing live or prop wagers before tuning into the game. That's the book at Turtle Lake, the Red Zone at Danbury, and our sports betting kiosk at Hertel. Find your fortune at St. Croix Casinos.
With the heat of summer comes the fun of summer festivals across the state of Minnesota, and there's nothing better than Pan of Prague in Lakeville, running July 4th through the 12th. Lakeville has been celebrating Pan of Prague since 1967, and this year's festival has another great lineup of events, including the Classic Car Cruise Night in downtown Lakeville on Friday, July 10th. You'll also want to check out all the great live outdoor music and, of course, the Pan of Prague Carnival and Midway that's second to none. For more info on this year's events, go to panofprague.org. This message brought to you by Visit Lakeville.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them?
That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Stop by any one of Freddy's 6 Minnesota locations.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back. Minnesota scores 10,000 takes. Eric Nelson rejoining us now from Los Angeles. Okay, Eric, your Minnesota Lynx have stumbled a little bit over the last week or so. They lost in New York to the Liberty. Of course, that's the team they lost to in the WNBA Finals 2 seasons ago. And then they dropped one early this week on Monday night. They lost to the woeful Connecticut Sun, who had only won like 3 or 4 games coming into that. Now, despite that, they still, heading into the weekend, still have the best record in the WNBA. But is there reason for alarm? I mean, no Nafisa Collier up until this point, and the fact that Olivia Miles didn't play the other night against Connecticut obviously made a difference as well. So are they getting the Byron Buxton bug is the question, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to be clear. If the Minnesota Lynx are going to win their 5th WNBA title and put another banner up there in the rafters at Target Center, ultimately you need Nafisa Collier on the floor. I mean, she's the face of the Lynx. She's one of the top players in the WNBA. Now, they've certainly drafted well. They're a deep team. You mentioned Olivia Miles. She's a slam dunk winner for the Rookie of the Year award as of right now. Of course, she had a calf injury. That's why she didn't play against Connecticut the other night in Minneapolis. You've got Natasha Howard, Nia Coffey. There have been a lot of the gals have come together. But I think big picture, they got to get feedback and they got to integrate her back with this core. So when the playoffs come, they're hitting their apex, so to speak. Panic? No, I wouldn't say that. Not with Cheryl Reeve. I mean, veteran coach. There's nothing she hasn't seen. She's been around the block and then some. The only thing I would say is the WNBA, like all these major sports leagues, it's competitive. Las Vegas is going to go for, a back-to-back title with, I call her Asia the Ace, Asia Wilson. She's very good. Atlanta's solid. Indiana's solid. There's a lot of teams in the mix. So Minnesota just needs to get all the players back, and I think the Lynx will have a good chance of making a deep run.
Yeah. Well, and they have to stay healthy. I mean, that's for sure. That's going to be a key ingredient to this. And you mentioned Nia Coffey coming over from the Atlanta Dream, and she's had a wonderful season for them. So they have some people that are contributing, and people that contributed despite the fact that Nafisa Collier is out. And, that's where you got to pick up when somebody goes down, you got to pick up the slack, and they have appeared to do so thus far. All right, stay with us. We have one more segment to go, and of course, it's Takes of the Day. We are Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes. Stay with us. We're back after this. Time on.
clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Get on the game at St. Croix Casinos in Turtle Lake, Danbury, and Hertel, Wisconsin, your local destination for sports betting. Check out our sportsbook at St. Croix Casinos. From football and soccer to hockey and UFC, you can join the non-stop action. You'll find plenty of options to bet on with our cutting-edge Play Sports kiosks, whether placing live or prop wagers before tuning into the game. That's the book at Turtle Lake, the Red Zone at Danbury, and our sports betting kiosk at Hertel. Find your fortune at St. Croix Casinos.
Welcome back. Final segment of this week's show. And yes, it is time now for Takes of the Day. And rejoining us from Los Angeles, California is Eric Nelson. And Eric, I don't know if you saw this, but while you were in Los Angeles, the Miami Marlins pulled one that I'm still shaking my head about. So I'm going to get into it right now. Yuri Perez, he threw 7 innings of perfect baseball for the Miami Marlins a few days ago, 92 pitches, and then he got pulled out of the game. He had a perfect game. He had 21 up and 21 down. But the Marlins said, nah, get him out of there. And, of course, the perfect game went by the wayside as the relievers came in from the bullpen. So Major League Baseball hasn't had a perfect game since the Yankees got one back in 2023. A guy by the name of Domingo Germán threw one in 2023. So it's been 3 years since we've had one. There have only been 24 in the history of the game. Yet Major League Baseball keeps kicking itself right in its own teeth by not having these great headlines. How about a guy that goes the full distance, goes all 27 batters, gets them all out? That would garner headlines across the country. But no, the Marlins decided, nah, let's get him out of there. It might be third time through the order or whatever reason that they came up with. But that's what's going on in Major League Baseball. That's analytics for you. That is what happens when you have this crazy pitch count. Jack Morris, Bert Blyleven and company probably shaking their heads when they heard this news. By the way, the Twins, we've never had a perfect game thrown by the Minnesota Twins. They have had 2 thrown against them. David Wells of the Yankees threw one against them back in 1998. And Catfish Hunter threw one against them back in 1968. So there you have it. Major League Baseball, the Miami Marlins, no perfect game. Well, they had a perfect game for 7 innings. Maybe if it was high school baseball, it would have been a perfect game, I guess. But Major League Baseball still does not have another perfect game.
All right, and that mood meter says cranky Yankee.
Yes.
And that's certainly understandable.
Yes.
Absolutely ludicrous that we're at that point in Major League Baseball. As you said, it would garner so much attention to get a perfect game. That would have stole headlines from the World Cup. But no, it's just an afterthought performance. All right, well, speaking of the World Cup, it's certainly been a lot of fun to watch these matches that have been played in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. I know it's water under the bridge, but having been out here in SoCal for a few days and seeing the buzz with Inglewood hosting multiple matches, it's too bad the Twin Cities didn't get in on the soccer fun. And I don't know exactly why. I think the Twin Cities had sticker shock. FIFA will hold cities ransom when they want to come to town and stage their event. But I really wish the Twin Cities would have gotten the World Cup. Now, the Twin Cities is not alone. Chicago didn't get it. Denver, Phoenix, Tampa, Washington, D.C. But I will say this. Once upon a time, Minneapolis, St. Paul got major events routinely. That's not the case anymore. The World Cup would have been a huge coup for the region.
Yeah, no question. All right, sir. Have a safe flight back. We'll see you next week. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week. You have been watching Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes.